Hey guys, today I'll show you a science fiction thriller TV series named 12 Monkeys, Season 3. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. At the end of Season 2, Rayleigh is captured and taken into Titan, where she learns that the witness is none other than the son of her and Cole. Cole boards the time machine and travels to the year 2163 in search of Titan and Rayleigh, but the future he finds is a wasteland, barren, broken, and bleak. Time and time again, Cole travels forward in search of Titan, but there's no sign of it. The signal detectors he brings register nothing. With no progress in sight, Katarina urges Cole to give up the search and return to their mission, stop the witness and prevent the world's destruction. But Cole refuses. Saving Rayleigh is all that matters to him. When Katarina realizes she can't change his mind, she sends her daughter Hannah with him to ensure his safety, and if necessary, to inject him with a serum that would bring him back. After arriving in the future, the two trek across the desolate landscape. Cole finds one of the signal detectors he previously planted, but it appears dead. Just as Hannah is persuading him to turn back, the detector suddenly picks up a temporal signal. Overjoyed, Cole insists on following it. Hannah, however, warns him of the danger, saying the last team that went after Titan was nearly wiped out. She urges him to return and plan properly before making a move. Cole won't hear it. When Hannah tries to inject him with the return serum, he catches her in the act and knocks it from her hand. In the scuffle that follows, Hannah believes she has subdued him, only to realize too late that Cole has already injected her, causing her to vanish with her sexy body and be transported back to safety. Meanwhile, Cole heads toward the source of the signal and finally finds Titan. Back at Titan, Rayleigh is being held under house arrest. Her belly is swollen. She's been pregnant for months. The witness is growing inside her. She's kept in luxury, pampered with fine food and care, but her mood is dark and her appetite is gone. Her handmaid gently encourages her to eat for the sake of her unborn child. That's when the housekeeper arrives to speak with her. She tells Rayleigh that today marks the official unveiling of her role as the witness's mother, a chance to show her loyalty and devotion, so Rayleigh should feel honored. The witness chose her as his vessel, and this day has been a decade in the making. It's time for her to do what she was meant to. That night, as Rayleigh chats with her handmaid, she learns the girl was taken from her parents at a young age and brought to Titan. Like Rayleigh, she misses her family deeply. The two find comfort in their shared pain. Meanwhile, Cole arrives near Titan, but is intercepted by a masked figure wearing a glowing vest. In their fight, Cole realizes the vest allows the stranger to teleport through time and space, vanishing and reappearing without warning. After a brief skirmish, the mysterious figure disappears. Back inside Titan, a bald henchman informs the Jasmine killer that Cole has found them. The latter decides to delay the witness's mother's unveiling ceremony and initiates a splinter sequence to relocate Titan. On her way to the ceremony, Rayleigh attacks two handmaids and attempts to escape. Moved by Rayleigh's story, her sympathetic handmaid agrees to help her. But when the housekeeper arrives and questions the injured handmaids, she learns which direction Rayleigh fled and sends the bald henchman and his bald team to track her down. Just as Rayleigh and the handmaid are about to escape, tragedy strikes. The handmaid is wounded by a blade, and the bald henchman's team catches up. Just as everything seemed lost, Cole arrived. Even though Titan was moments away from being transported, Cole rushed in without hesitation. Just as he was about to reach Rayleigh and rescue her, the mysterious figure reappeared and tackled him, vanishing with him into the time stream. At that moment, Titan initiated its splinter sequence and disappeared into the future. Cole found himself in a ruined building, confused and dazed. The masked stranger finally removed his hood, and to Cole's shock, it was him, a future version of himself. Back at Titan, one of the handmaids sacrificed herself to help Rayleigh escape, charging at the masked guards and being stabbed to death in the process. Rayleigh managed to slip away in the chaos. Cole, angry and disoriented, accused his future self of stopping him from saving Rayleigh, but future Cole calmly told him it would have failed regardless. They both would have died. Cole couldn't believe what he was hearing. Two versions of himself appearing in the same place violated every rule of time travel he knew. But future Cole explained that the temporal vest he was wearing allowed for paradox-free multi-time travel, something the time machine alone couldn't do. Cole reached for the vest to inspect it, but future Cole stopped him. The vest could bypass paradoxes, but it couldn't prevent them if both versions of a person died simultaneously. When Cole demanded to know what would happen next, future Cole told him only Jennifer could help. Meanwhile, Jennifer had been splintered to 1917 France, where she barely survived the battlefield. There, she had a vision of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, who were guarding a box marked with the witness's symbol. Future Cole showed her an old newspaper, revealing that Jennifer was now in 1922. But the present Cole noticed something strange. He still had Rayleigh's watch on his wrist, meaning there were still things his future self wasn't telling him. Rayleigh, having escaped, arrived at a gathering of witness followers. There, the Jasmine Killer was explaining to the group why the witness could still be born, even though Cole had rewritten history. The answer lay in the witness's DNA. He carried time travel serum in his blood, inherited from his parents, which allowed him to exist across timelines. Just then, the bald henchman and the housekeeper arrived. Rayleigh fled to the rooftop with nowhere left to run. Refusing to let the 12 monkeys take her child, she threw herself from the roof. Just before she hit the ground, the housekeeper activated her temporal vest, and time rewound. Rayleigh opened her eyes, back in the past. Her nose bled, the telltale sign that history had been rewritten. The housekeeper and bald henchman entered, and the housekeeper walked up to the handmaid without a word and stabbed her. She had come back in time to warn her past self that Rayleigh would attempt suicide and that the handmaid would help her escape. To prevent a paradox of two versions of herself, the housekeeper activated the vest's self-destruct. Rayleigh, realizing she had no choice, accepted her fate. In earlier seasons, rewinding time was a huge risk, but in Season 3, thanks to the vest, it becomes a regular tactic. Katarina and the others finally tracked down Cole and prepared to bring him back. Cole, still angry that his future self hadn't revealed more, was told this was a long war and the road ahead would be even harder. But future Cole gave him hope. As long as he wore Rayleigh's watch, he would always find his way back to her. As the time machine activated, future Cole handed over the newspaper containing Jennifer's whereabouts, and the present Cole was transported back. Moments later, a figure emerged from the ruins of a hotel. It was Rayleigh. Meanwhile, back at the bunker, Cole told Katarina that their top priority now was to find Jennifer. 4 months later, Rayleigh gave birth at Titan. The witness was born. Jennifer, stuck in 1921, tried writing letters to her future friends to explain her situation, but even the local priest refused to send her messages. Desperate, she joined a theater troupe, performing in plays based on modern films. She became a sensation, beloved by the audience. In 1922, she began performing a play about the 12 monkeys, but it flopped and the theater dropped it. One day, the bearded horseman of the apocalypse spotted a poster for the play on the street. Realizing what it meant, he hunted Jennifer down and tried to kill her. Just as he was about to strike, a hail of bullets took him down. Cole and Katarina had arrived just in time. They had used the clues from the old newspaper to find her. Jennifer had drawn all the visions that had appeared in her mind. She told Cole and Katarina that when the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse appeared, they were carrying a box marked with the witness's symbol. Meanwhile, after giving birth to the witness, Rayleigh saw her baby taken away. At that moment, the bald henchman found her. She begged him to take her to see her son, but instead, he led her to a room filled with artifacts related to the witness's past and future, including his iconic mask. The henchman explained that while the witness was still a child now, he would soon return to Titan to lead his followers to salvation. Rayleigh's attention was caught by a watch on display, engraved with the words, "For my beloved." The bald henchman promised to help her escape from Titan, saying that now that the witness had been born, her life no longer held the same value, and if she acted rashly, it could cost her dearly. Rayleigh pleaded to see her child one last time, so the bald henchman brought her to a gathering of witness followers. Back at the facility, Katarina was studying the temporal vest worn by the bearded horseman, but so far, she couldn't make sense of how it worked. Cole kept pressing Jennifer for information about Rayleigh and James's whereabouts, but Jennifer grew frustrated with being ignored and stormed off. Katarina, however, found an identification card on the bearded horseman that might lead them somewhere. In the year 2046, Jose and Olivia were discussing their next move. Olivia revealed that she had found Jose's son 23 years ago, and now the boy had grown into a young man. The next day, they arrived at a camp only to find it under attack by the army of the 12 monkeys. Jose's son had been gravely wounded in the assault and didn't have long to live. Desperate, Jose wanted to time travel back and save him, but his son refused. He didn't want to alter history for his own sake. Instead, he urged his father to stop the witness and save the world. Olivia, understanding the boy's wishes, told Jose how he could end his suffering. Jose, heartbroken, couldn't bring himself to do it. He had only just reunited with his son and now had to let him go again. But to spare him from further pain, he finally gave in, and in that moment, he swore vengeance against the witness. Bursting from the tent in a fury, Jose tackled Olivia, intent on killing her. But Olivia urged him to channel that rage, use it to help her destroy the witness. After leaving the theater, Jennifer followed clues from her visions and tracked one of the horsemen to their hideout. Cole and Katarina, using the address from the ID card, also arrived at the location. As they entered, 2 of the horsemen, a man and a woman, spotted them, and a firefight broke out. Just when things looked dire, Jennifer suddenly appeared and distracted the horsemen, giving Cole and Katerina the opening they needed to shoot them down. Both Cole and Katerina were injured in the scuffle. After confirming with Jennifer that one horseman was still unaccounted for, Cole went deeper into the building and found the box Jennifer had seen in her visions. As he moved closer, the final horseman suddenly opened fire. Shockingly, it was the housekeeper. After the witness was taken from Rayleigh, the Jasmine killer had handed the child over to her and the four horsemen. Their mission was to protect and raise the witness as he traveled through time. The housekeeper placed the baby inside the box, and after synchronizing their temporal vests, the horsemen vanished from Titan, taking the witness to Paris in the year 1921. Rayleigh, escorted by the bald henchman, witnessed all of this unfold. The housekeeper didn't kill Cole after shooting him. Instead, she prepared for another time jump. Just then, Jennifer helped a wounded Katerina into the room, and they heard the sound of a baby crying from within the box. As Cole tried to reach it, reality suddenly began to reset. It turned out the housekeeper had used the vest to travel back in time and warn her past self that Cole would find them in 4 months. She urged them to change their route and take the witness to a different time. After delivering the message, she sacrificed herself, triggering the vest's self-destruct function. With their route changed, time reset once more, erasing all traces of their presence. It was as if they had never been there at all. Cole and Katerina later found Jennifer, still performing her 12 Monkeys play. Cole expressed how much he had missed her and brought her back to the future. At this point, Cole had no idea that the witness was actually his son, or that the baby in the box was the witness himself. Everyone was left puzzled. Why would the army of the 12 Monkeys protect a child? They debated it for a long time, but couldn't come up with an answer. Katerina left it up to Cole to decide whether Jennifer should stay or go. Cole asked Jennifer what she wanted. Did she want to return to 2016 or stay and help them in the future? Jennifer didn't hesitate. She chose to stay. Just then, alarms blared inside the bunker. When Cole rushed outside, he saw Jose had brought Olivia back. He had her in custody and was forcing her inside. Cole immediately assumed Jose had gone missing at Titan to hunt Olivia down, but Katerina stopped him. She urged Cole to first find out Jose's true intentions. Jennifer also warned Katerina not to trust Olivia. She was a snake, dangerously manipulative. With the rooms in the bunker already filled with members of the Daughters Legion, they built a special cage just to imprison Olivia. Katerina questioned Jose, wanting to know why he really returned. Jose claimed that Olivia had severed ties with the army of the 12 Monkeys and had been fighting against the witness. He brought her back because she could be an ally. Katerina didn't buy his smelly bullshit until Jose told her his son was dead and he was now out for revenge against the witness. Only then did Katerina begin to believe him. Cole confronted Olivia, demanding to know where Titan was so he could find Rayleigh. Olivia began to talk about her past. That's when Katerina and Cole realized Olivia was the little girl from 1961, the one Katerina had taken blood samples from. They ran tests to confirm. Meanwhile, back at Titan, when Deacon had stayed behind to cover Jennifer's escape, he was surrounded by masked guards and brutally stabbed. Somehow, he survived. The bald henchman found him, stitched him up, and locked him in a small room, bringing him food and what might have been painkillers or drugs every day. But Deacon wasn't the type to give up. As soon as he started to recover, he began training inside his cell, preparing to escape. Back at the bunker, Katerina reviewed Olivia's test results. As a messenger sample, her physical condition was nearly perfect, an ideal specimen. Katerina confronted her again, trying to figure out her true agenda, but Olivia deliberately provoked her. Frustrated, Katerina threw her into the time machine and subjected her to continuous splicing, forcing her body to tear apart and reassemble again and again in a loop of agony. Still, Olivia didn't break, so Cole decided to use her childhood trauma against her. Knowing she had a deep fear of confined spaces, he sent her back 3 months into the past, into a dark, forgotten room beneath the bunker. When they finally opened the door months later, Olivia, broken and terrified, was ready to talk. Over at Titan, once Deacon had mostly recovered, the bald henchman gave him an escape route out of the compound. Deacon committed it to memory and continued training. When he was finally released, he followed the path and found the room where Rayleigh was being held. When Rayleigh saw Deacon enter, her face lit up. A familiar face. She finally had a way out. Back at the bunker, Olivia revealed everything she knew to Katerina and the others. She had knowledge of when and where the witness would appear in the past, and she claimed to know how to kill him, but there would only be one chance. According to her, the witness would appear in 2007. Cole and Jose agreed to travel back to that year to eliminate him. Right before they left, Jennifer had a bad feeling. She tried to warn Cole not to go, but time waits for no one. The machine had already been activated, and Cole and Jose were sent to 2007, but it was all a setup. Olivia and Jose had planned this together from the start. Jose smuggled her into the bunker and staged the whole thing to earn Katerina's trust. Olivia had already figured out that Rayleigh was the witness's mother. Sending Jose back to 2007 was all part of the plan, to kill Rayleigh before the witness was even born. Meanwhile, Jennifer had a vision of someone seriously wounded. She drew a picture of the person's back, but she had no idea who it was. She went to Olivia hoping for answers. That's when Jennifer discovered the so-called mission was a trap, and Olivia had kept something crucial from them, the witness's temporal map, the key to his appearances. If the mission failed, Olivia could still use the map as leverage. In 2007, Cole and Jose began planning their attack on the witness. They agreed to first stock up on weapons. During the mission, things got messy, and they had to split up. Cole managed to take out the arms dealers, but when he returned, Jose was gone. Back at the Emerson Hotel, Cole found no sign of him either. It turned out Jose had gone to the hospital where Rayleigh was staying. He tricked her into going to the emergency room, then pulled the trigger. Only after she collapsed did he realize he had killed the wrong person. The doctor who showed up wasn't Rayleigh, just someone with a similar build. Back at the hotel, Jose made up a story to cover his tracks when Cole questioned him. He even offered to help Cole find Rayleigh, but Cole didn't want to disturb her life. Still, he accidentally let slip where Rayleigh was. Jose adjusted his plan on the fly, asking to be dropped off midway. Then he hijacked a car and drove straight to Rayleigh's location, gun in hand. But as he approached the entrance, Cole appeared behind him. It turns out, Cole had been suspicious of him from the start, ever since Jose returned with Olivia. But he wanted to believe in him, to give him a chance to come clean. Jose kept letting him down, so Cole baited him with the address on purpose. It was a place the two of them had visited as kids, though Jose didn't remember. That day he'd been too busy saving Cole's life. But Cole remembered it vividly because it was the first time Jose ever called him brother. Jose finally came clean. He'd come to kill Rayleigh not out of hate, but to prevent the birth of the witness, because the witness was his and Rayleigh's son. Cole was stunned. He had no idea. That time he spent with Rayleigh, the moment their child was conceived, had been erased when time was reset. As far as he knew, it never happened. But Jose told him everything they were going through now was because of that child. The reason he was still alive was because they had allowed the witness to be born. That's why Rayleigh had been taken to Titan. That's why Jose believed killing her would reset everything, and Cole would forget it all. Cole refused. Jose shot him and ran. The two of them ended up in a desperate chase through the woods. Now, that woods scene may have only lasted a few minutes on screen, but a lot happened in that short time. Cole eventually caught up to Jose deep in the forest and shot him. Jose staggered but stood again. Cole warned him to stop. He didn't listen, so Cole fired again, and this time Jose collapsed. As his best friend lay dying in front of him, Cole wanted to go back in time and save him, but Jose stopped him, saying no more jumping back, and from here on, the road was his alone. With one final goodbye, he took his last breath, leaving Cole shattered, broken by the loss of the person closest to him. Meanwhile, Deacon helped Rayleigh escape from her room. The Jasmine killer soon noticed her missing, unaware that the bald henchman was behind it. He ordered Titan to be relocated. Rayleigh and Deacon made it to Titan's outer edge. After fighting off a wave of masked guards, more reinforcements arrived, but the bald henchman led them using his bald head, and he turned on the guards, helping Rayleigh and Deacon escape. Before they left, he told Rayleigh to find her son. The two of them barely made it out before Titan vanished. They returned to the bunker, only to find it in ruins. They realized they had arrived in the future, about a year ahead of their own time. As despair crept in, Rayleigh noticed something on the wall, a butterfly symbol. It was part of a Christmas gift Cole once gave Rayleigh. It meant Cole had left something for her. They dug near the wall and unearthed a box. Inside, they found 2 vials, the serum for time travel. In the future, Cole returned to the bunker with one goal, to kill Olivia. But she remained calm, even smug. She offered to help him find his son and promised to keep his secret. Before he could decide, the time machine fired up again. Cole rushed over and found that Deacon and Rayleigh had returned. He and Rayleigh embraced tightly. By now, both of them knew the truth. Their son was the witness. Cole didn't have to say a word. Rayleigh already knew what was on his mind. Nothing needed to be said. They understood each other perfectly. Rayleigh told the group that the bunker would be destroyed in 1 year. Time was running out again. Katerina asked about what happened at Titan and about the witness, but Cole and Rayleigh had prepared their story in advance. They only shared vague, harmless details. Later, the two of them secretly met with Olivia. The 3 of them formed a temporary alliance, all with the same goal, find the witness. That's when Jennifer had a revelation. There was a way to find the witness. They needed to locate the temporal map that held the patterns of the witnesses' appearances. In 1961, Jose tore off a corner of the temporal map in a lab in East Germany. That fragment eventually led him to Titan. Jennifer had also seen it before back at the monkey's mansion. The team now needed to intercept the temporal map somewhere between its time at the lab and its final arrival at the mansion. When the army of the 12 monkeys withdrew from Germany, they smuggled the temporal map out by hiding it inside the frame of an old painting. But the painting was later stolen and went missing for nearly 30 years. It finally resurfaced at an auction house in 1989, where Olivia bought it and brought it to the mansion. To avoid disrupting the causal loop, Jennifer devised a plan. She disguised herself as her mother and posed as an art dealer to gain access to the auction house's storage facility. Once she located the painting, Cole and Rayleigh would bring it back to the future, make a copy of the temporal map, and return it before Olivia eventually purchased it. That way, the timeline would remain intact. However, Cole and Rayleigh were uneasy. The map documented events from 1957, events involving the two of them. Olivia had learned about their past through this map. To prevent anyone else from uncovering the same information, they agreed to destroy the section relating to them after recovering it. Jennifer, Deacon, Cole, and Rayleigh traveled together to 1989 to execute the mission. But things didn't go exactly as planned. The painting wasn't supposed to go up for public auction. It had been reserved for a private buyer, Olivia. Their interference introduced a new bidder into the mix, forcing the auction house to change plans and list it for public sale. Once Olivia realized someone else was interested, she also adjusted her approach. In the future, Olivia began experiencing nosebleeds, proof that the past had changed. The painting wasn't scheduled to arrive at the auction house until the next day. With the new timeline in motion, Jennifer and the team came up with a fresh idea. They stole one of Jennifer's father's vintage cars and registered it as an auction item, sneaking it into the warehouse. Cole and Rayleigh hid inside, planning to wait for the painting's arrival. The next day, Jennifer and Deacon attended the auction, and to their surprise, Olivia showed up in person. Meanwhile, Jennifer's compulsive shopping habits kicked in, and she started frantically bidding on everything. The auction house, confused by her actions, contacted Jennifer's father, who then rushed to the scene with a young Jennifer in tow. Meanwhile, the painting finally arrived at the warehouse. Just as security prepared to take it to the auction floor, Cole distracted the guard, giving Rayleigh the chance to swipe it. She removed the back panel and found the temporal map, but the auction house noticed the painting hadn't been delivered and paused the event. Olivia sensed something was wrong and sent her bodyguard to retrieve it. Back in the warehouse, Jennifer spotted her father arriving and quickly ducked out, leaving Deacon to create a diversion. Deacon didn't hold back. He pulled a gun and staged a fake robbery. In the warehouse, Cole was intercepted by Olivia's bodyguard. After knocking out the guard, the two got into a fight. Rayleigh, hearing the commotion, rushed to help. Together, they took down the bodyguard, but discovered the painting was missing. It had been taken by one of the staff who had just bumped into Jennifer. Jennifer launched into a wild, paranoid rant to spook the woman, then found an opportunity to knock her out, recover the map, and make a copy. As the police arrived, the team scrambled to escape. Meanwhile, young Jennifer and her father were searching for her mother. They found Jennifer just as she finished placing the copied temporal map back into the painting. The father was stunned by how much she resembled his wife and assumed she and Deacon were common thieves. Deacon soon caught up and locked Jennifer's father in a nearby room. He activated the sequence with an injection of the serum, and right in front of young Jennifer, the group vanished into thin air, transported back to the future. Instead of being scared, young Jennifer was amazed by the magic of it all. In the end, Olivia still obtained the temporal map, and the time loop remained unbroken. After Cole and Rayleigh returned to the future, they found that Jennifer had already finished copying the temporal map. The two were visibly anxious, worried that their secret had been exposed, until they saw that the section about them had been covered by Jennifer's hand. As it turned out, Jennifer had noticed the truth about them the moment she saw the temporal map. Coupled with her own visions, she realized that the witness was actually their son. When she made the copy, she deliberately covered their part with her hand, keeping their secret safe. The mission was a success, and their secret remained intact. Cole and Rayleigh thanked Jennifer for her help. Afterwards, Cole dug a hole and buried the 2 vials of serum in a box. Rayleigh drew a butterfly symbol on the nearby wall to ensure the loop would continue. She then gave her watch to Cole, believing that no matter where or when they ended up, they'd always find a way back to each other. The year was now 1953. The witness had grown into a young child and was being introduced to a gathering of devoted followers. Meanwhile, Agent Gale received a tip from a hotel bellhop about suspicious activity in room 608 of the Emerson Hotel. He and his partner stormed in, only to find something less sinister and more inappropriate happening. Since parting ways with Cole back in 1944, Gale had been relentlessly investigating the army of the 12 Monkeys. Room 608 was just one room away from Cole's old room, 607. He was getting close. Gale's partner, however, wasn't too impressed by his obsession. As Gale left the bar, the lights flickered. He turned a corner, and there were Cole and Rayleigh right in front of him. They showed him the temporal map inscribed with the witness's word, which mentioned that the first opportunity for the followers would occur in 1953. As shown previously, this is the same Agent Gale who gets gunned down in 1961 East Germany while helping Cole cross the Berlin Wall. Rayleigh, burdened by guilt, didn't want Gale to come with them this time, but he refused to be left out. They traveled together to a small town where the followers were gathering. They asked the local police if anything unusual had happened. Rayleigh felt they should tell Gale the truth. Cole disagreed, fearing it could lead to more casualties. In the middle of their discussion, an explosion erupted at a nearby mine. Rayleigh realized this was what the witness's word had described: ashes and blood. In the crowd, Cole spotted a man who looked like a preacher. Later, Agent Gale returned to the hotel and informed them that the explosion was officially blamed on a natural gas leak. But the army of the 12 Monkeys always seemed to know about disasters before they happened, and every time, people went missing afterward. The cult was likely recruiting the victims' loved ones into their ranks. Cole also found the preacher's photo in the local newspaper. It was the same man he'd seen earlier. They concluded he was the recruiter. Rayleigh disguised herself as a recent widow who had just lost her husband in the mining accident. Sure enough, the preacher took the bait. A young boy next to him began whistling. Rayleigh realized it was the younger version of the Jasmine Killer. But the preacher sensed Rayleigh wasn't truly grieving and turned to leave. So Rayleigh told him a version of the truth. She shared the heartbreak of being separated from her husband and their son. Her genuine emotion finally moved the preacher, and he handed her an invitation to the gathering. The three of them drove to the location. As Rayleigh stepped out of the car, she was overwhelmed by guilt and finally told Gale the truth. In 1961, while helping them cross the Berlin Wall, he would be gunned down. Gale was shaken, but not discouraged. He even knocked out a man who had come to the gathering and gave Cole his spot so he and Rayleigh could go in. Inside, Cole found Rayleigh. They reflected on the story Rayleigh had told, the one about their family being torn apart, and she said she'd even given their son a name, Athan. Suddenly, the preacher began his sermon. He introduced his wife, none other than the female messenger who had traveled from 1944. The two of them were powerful speakers, quickly captivating the crowd. Cole suggested taking them out right then and there. It would prevent the creation of the army of the 12 Monkeys. Just then, the lights flickered. The housekeeper appeared with a young boy in tow. The boy walked to the front of the room, and the preacher introduced him to everyone. He was actually the witness. The housekeeper addressed the crowd, announcing that the witness would choose one among them to become a follower. The lights flickered again, and 3 guardians also appeared, traveling through time into the room. The witness began to draw, just like Jennifer had done before. At that moment, Cole realized he, too, was a primary. The witness handed one of the drawings to a young Jasmine Killer, then sketched a portrait of a woman, his chosen follower. One of the guardians approached the woman and led her away. Meanwhile, the preacher, the female messenger, and their son quietly slipped out of the building and locked the doors behind them. The agent, who had been watching from outside, noticed and sensed something was wrong. He stepped in to stop them. The young Jasmine Killer handed him the drawing the witness had given him and told him, "This is fate." Before Gale had time to react, a scream came from inside the gathering hall. Forgetting about the family, he ran toward the sound. It turned out the witness had put on a gas mask and released a toxic gas canister inside the gathering hall. 2 guardians immediately escorted him away through a time jump, while another guardian spotted Cole and moved in to eliminate him, only to be taken down by Rayleigh instead. The 2 used her time travel vest to escape just as the gas began to spread. Panic erupted as the crowd tried to flee, but the doors had been locked. Trapped with nowhere to go, everyone inside was poisoned. Agent Gale, watching helplessly from outside, wanted to help but was powerless. Every attendee was killed. Gale then opened the drawing the young Jasmine Killer had given him. It was a depiction of Gale's own death in 1961, being shot while helping Cole and Rayleigh escape. Meanwhile, after jumping through time, Cole and Rayleigh landed in an unfamiliar place. From a distance, they saw 2 guardians leading their son into a building. This was the witness's hiding place. As they were about to be pulled back to their original time, Cole quickly removed the time travel vest from the dead guardian and gave it to Rayleigh. He told her to return, prepare, and come back to this moment to stop the witness once and for all. Back in the future, Katerina and the others began planning an assassination mission to kill the young witness. It was a disturbing idea, targeting a child, but with 7 billion lives at stake, they felt they had no choice. Rayleigh and Cole exchanged subtle glances. They clearly had their own thoughts about the mission. On the other side, the witness had already foreseen his father trying to kill him and had drawn an image of Cole pointing a gun at him. To prevent the Guardians from using time travel vests to undo the mission, they developed an electromagnetic pulse device that could temporarily disable the vest's signal and block any jumps. Katerina also figured out how to activate all of the vest's features, including synchronized jumps and a self-destruct function. It was powerful tech. Rayleigh, however, refused to take part in the mission. She didn't want her son to look at her with the same eyes she saw in her dying mother. Cole tried to comfort her, saying that after this mission everything would be better, but Rayleigh reminded him, if they kill the witness, time will reset. They'll never meet. Their son will never be born. Cole reassured her, but inside, he was torn. Deacon noticed something was off with Cole. He brought his concerns to Katerina, saying that Cole and Rayleigh hadn't been themselves lately. Katerina didn't think much of it at first, but his words planted a seed of doubt. Before the mission, Katerina assigned tasks to everyone. The EMP device they had was a replica, so to be safe, someone needed to go back to 1953 to retrieve the original. It was located in their old bunker from that year. Jennifer and Cole were tasked with retrieving it and would regroup with Deacon and Whitley before heading to the witness's hideout for the final strike. Just before leaving, Cole cast one last glance at Rayleigh, something Katerina noticed. She suspected there was a smelly secret between them. After they left, Rayleigh approached Katerina with a request. Rayleigh jumped to 1990 and visited her mother, a psychologist. She handed her the witness's temporal map, hoping for insight into what he was trying to express. After examining it, her mother said the person who drew it had deep psychological trauma and a profound uncertainty about themselves. In truth, the Guardians had long disagreed about how to raise the witness. One of them, the kinder Guardian, believed the boy should be allowed to make his own choices, that destiny and free will should coexist. But the housekeeper believed the witness needed to become the architect of his own creation. Initially, the witness didn't want to hurt anyone, but under the housekeeper's guidance, he ultimately released the gas at the gathering. Rayleigh's mother also realized that the map must have come from someone close to Rayleigh, perhaps family. Rayleigh admitted it was drawn by her son. Her mother urged her not to dismiss it as madness. It was art, an expression of his emotions, fears, and hopes. Before they said goodbye, Rayleigh asked her mother to take her younger self to the museum, something they had never done together. Rayleigh had grown up with little time spent with her mother, but as they embraced, her mother confessed she felt a strange sense of déjà vu around Rayleigh. As Rayleigh turned to leave, her mother told her never to stop fighting for her family, and that's what a mother does. Suddenly, Rayleigh's nose began to bleed, suggesting the past had changed. Memories flooded her mind, scenes of her mother taking her to the museum, moments that hadn't existed until now. After Rayleigh jumped through time, Katerina instructed her skinny assistant to track the most recent time coordinates. In fact, in that moment when Cole and Jose were chasing each other through the woods, a lot more happened during that time than we saw. Katerina jumped to the exact moment Jose died and witnessed Cole pulling the trigger. Then she jumped further back and saw the confrontation, Jose revealing to Cole that the witness was actually his and Rayleigh's son. Once Rayleigh returned to the future, Katerina planned to detain her. But Rayleigh seized the moment, knocked out the guard, grabbed the time travel vest from the table, and jumped through the chaos and gunfire. Meanwhile, Cole and Jennifer had retrieved the EMP device and regrouped with Whitley and Deacon at the witness's hideout, where they met up with Hannah. Just then, the Guardians returned from a jump, bringing the witness with them, and they all saw an earlier version of Cole and Rayleigh arriving. Cole pulled out the EMP and prepared to move. Back inside, the housekeeper noticed one Guardian hadn't returned, and the time travel vest was malfunctioning. She ordered the bearded horseman to protect the witness. By then, Cole's team had already stormed the place. At that moment, the witness realized it was his parents who had come for him. The kind-hearted Guardian, trying to help him escape, ran into Jennifer. Since both she and the witness were primaries, they connected in a shared mental space. After their conversation, instead of killing him, Jennifer chose to help him escape. Meanwhile, Hannah faced off in close combat against the bearded horseman. She managed to take him down using her chicken muscles, but not without suffering serious injuries herself. Around the same time, Rayleigh jumped in and encountered the housekeeper. The two engaged in a fierce fight, but Rayleigh was clearly outmatched. Just as the electromagnetic disruption wore off and the time travel vest regained function, Rayleigh activated its self-destruct mode. The housekeeper didn't have time to remove the vest. It detonated, taking her with it to meet Satan. Elsewhere, Cole finally found the kind guardian and his son, Athan, in a room. The guardian tried to reason with Cole, saying the boy could become something better. But Cole, driven by rage and grief, shot him without letting him finish his bullshit. Then he turned the gun on his son, just as foretold in the drawing. But when their eyes met, Cole couldn't go through with it. Any parent would understand. Even if your child becomes a monster, giving up on them isn't so simple, especially when they're still just a child who hasn't done anything yet. Cole lowered his gun and softly told his son his name. Just then, Deacon arrived and was shocked to see Cole hadn't pulled the trigger. Cole revealed the truth. Athan was his son. Deacon hesitated for a moment, but ultimately raised his gun, determined to end the threat once and for all. Before he could shoot, multiple bullets struck him down. It was Rayleigh. She'd arrived just in time. At that moment, the kind guardian regained consciousness and escaped with Athan using a time travel vest. Rayleigh told Cole that Katarina now knew everything and wouldn't let them go. They decided to find their son on their own. Deacon, badly injured but alive, told Whitley to track down Cole and Rayleigh and stop them. Cole found Jennifer and Hannah. He asked Jennifer to send the wounded Hannah back and took the bearded horseman's time travel vest. He and Rayleigh were ready to chase after Athan. Whitley showed up, completely confused by everything that had just happened. Cole and Rayleigh apologized to him and asked him not to follow. They had to deal with this alone. This was their family. They synced their vests and vanished before Whitley and Jennifer's eyes. Back in the future, Katarina treated Hannah's injuries. She was heartbroken over Cole and Rayleigh's betrayal. But Deacon reminded her, what's coming next is a whole new kind of time war. Previously, we saw the mission to kill the witness fail. He was taken and jumped away. Cole and Rayleigh split from Katarina's team, determined to find their son. The kind guardian had taken Athan to 1879 London. By then, Athan was a young man, and the guardian, now middle-aged, was doing his best to help him live a quiet life, hidden from time hunters. Life was hard, but the guardian continued to guide Athan, trying to help him grow into someone capable of making better choices, someone who could choose his own destiny. During this time, Athan began to experience visions of the future. The guardian urged him to write everything down. Athan foresaw many things, among them the guardian's death. He recorded them all. From those writings, the temporal map of the witness was born. Katarina, based on the scene Jennifer had foreseen, sent Deacon and Hannah back to 1945 to hunt down Cole and Rayleigh. Their situation now was somewhat similar to what Cole and the others had faced before, but with lower stakes. Their experience with time travel wasn't as advanced as Cole's, and without the help of the time travel vests that Cole had, they could only watch helplessly as Cole and Rayleigh escaped every time. Deacon and Hannah always returned empty-handed. Left with no other options, Katarina took Jennifer's painting and sought Olivia's help. The footprints in the painting disappeared in front of the statue. After analyzing everything, Olivia told them that Jennifer knew everything, but had always been protecting Cole and the others. Meanwhile, Jennifer had foreseen that Cole and the others were in London in 1899, preparing to help them. She had previously traveled back in time, retrieved a small turtle, and created a paradox with her future self. Amidst the chaos, she had Katarina's assistant teleport her to 1899. At that moment, Cole and Rayleigh were in the streets of London in 1899, spotting a poster for a Red Death masquerade ball, which matched the mention in the witness's words. To attend the ball, they stole money while also practicing their dance moves. Finally, the day of the ball arrived. However, since they were in formal attire, they couldn't wear the time travel vests, so they hid them in a bush. Inside the ball, the dance floor was alive with people dancing, and it was hard to tell the men from the women. As they danced in TikTok style, they searched for people and saw the kind guardian, who was working as a waiter. They stopped him, hoping to find his son, but the kind guardian told them he was also searching for Athan, who had left him 20 years ago. When they tried to take the kind guardian away, Deacon blocked their path, and Hannah held a knife to Rayleigh. Even Katarina arrived at the scene. Everyone had traveled back to the 1899 ballroom. Katarina checked Cole and Rayleigh and confirmed they weren't wearing the time travel vests and invited Cole to dance. Deacon and Hannah took Rayleigh and the kind guardian aside, while Katarina tried to persuade Cole to give up on his son. Cole insisted that if she put herself in his shoes, she'd understand his struggle. Both of them pointed guns at each other, neither able to convince the other. Just as things reached a standstill, a person wearing a mask resembling the witness appeared on the scene, drawing everyone's attention. When the mask was removed, it turned out to be Jennifer. She had ignited the fireworks bound to the mountain, causing chaos and helping Cole and the others escape. The people at the ball scattered in all directions. Jennifer was quickly subdued by Hannah, and Katarina ordered Deacon to do whatever it took to stop Cole and Rayleigh. No one noticed a masked figure quietly watching the chaos from a corner of the ballroom. Hannah then saw the statue from Jennifer's painting outside the window. Katerina instructed Hannah to take Jennifer back to 2046 while the kind guardian, Cole and Rayleigh, escaped. He told Cole and Rayleigh that their son was inherently good and longed for his own destiny. 20 years ago, the kind guardian had tried to bring Athon back to Titan, where a merciful witness would guide the followers, but Athon left him, leaving him stranded. Cole and Rayleigh retrieved their time travel vests, and Rayleigh wanted to understand why Athon was mentioned in the witness's words at that moment. The kind guardian then recalled an address where they would find the answers. Just as they were about to head there, Katerina and Deacon arrived, and the kind guardian, in an effort to protect Cole and Rayleigh, was shot to death by Katerina and Deacon. Cole and Rayleigh used the opportunity to time travel away, and the footprints vanished in front of the statue. This was exactly what Jennifer had painted. After Jennifer was captured and brought back to the future, she was locked in the same cage where Olivia had once been imprisoned, swapping places with Olivia. Cole and Rayleigh arrived at the address the kind guardian had mentioned. Inside, they discovered the witness's mask, realizing this was where Athon had once lived. After the kind guardian was killed, the masked figure from the masquerade ball approached him, placing 2 pennies over his eyes and telling him they would meet again when the forest turned red. The true face of the witness was finally revealed. Cole and Rayleigh found Athon's diary at the place he had lived, discovering that he had been constantly time traveling and documenting everything he had witnessed. One day, however, his time travel vest malfunctioned, forcing him to stay in 1891. A part of the vest broke. So Athon sought out a watchmaker and asked him to make an identical replacement, assuring him that money was not an issue. Just then, a woman wearing a mask walked in with a gun, intending to rob the watchmaker of an item sent by a local crime boss. During the robbery, she ended up taking the part Athon needed. Athon had no choice but to chase after her. Unexpectedly, he tracked her to a hospital, which appeared to be a poor, rundown one. A little boy lying in a hospital bed asked him for some water. As he went over to comfort the boy, the woman appeared behind him, still holding the gun. When Athon turned around, he was surprised to find she was actually quite attractive. She had originally planned to threaten Athon into leaving, but Athon turned the tables, disarming her and subduing her instead. He explained that he only wanted to get his part back, and she, seeing his sincerity, returned it to him. They started talking. Athon asked why she wore the mask, and she replied, if he was destined to die, he might as well dress the part. From their conversation, Athon learned that she was a doctor, though in this era, only men were allowed to be doctors. Athon told her that history would eventually change, and soon, people like her would be able to practice medicine. She explained that most of her patients were poor, and she had resorted to stealing to buy medicines. Athon felt a growing sympathy for her, and she, in turn, found his maturity and charm unusual for the time. A week later, the watchmaker finally finished the part, but it wasn't strong enough and didn't meet Athon's standards. Athon decided to stay a bit longer. He went back to the hospital to find the female doctor, but as he greeted her, she collapsed right in front of him. When she woke up, she found herself lying on a comfortable bed, and Athon was there, not wanting to have any baby with her. He explained that she was in his home and revealed that her name was Eliza. She had contracted a staph infection, but luckily, he had some medicine on hand, which was common in the future. Eliza learned she had been unconscious for several days, but Athon hadn't taken advantage of her vulnerability, which made her feel more inclined to trust him. The watchmaker's part still wasn't up to standard, so Athon stayed longer and decided to ask Eliza to dinner. To free up her time, Athon hired 5 high-class nurses to cover for her at the hospital. He took Eliza to a restaurant where her simple nurse's outfit clashed with the surrounding fancy attire, drawing everyone's attention. Athon wasn't bothered by the stares. He could tell Eliza had come from high society but had chosen her current path. Eliza, however, was skeptical of Athon's motives. She believed he was only doing all this to win her over with money. To prove her wrong, Athon made a bold gesture by paying for the meal and encouraging the restaurant guests to strip down, showing he wasn't using wealth to manipulate her. Eliza was touched by his sincerity, and their relationship began to deepen. They eventually fell in love, and their feelings blossomed, leading them to finally embrace their connection via a 2-minute hormone yoga session. Meanwhile, in the bunker, Jennifer, still imprisoned, continued to sketch everything she saw in her mind, even drawing the scene of the witness's return to Titan. However, she became confused by some of the images, and voices in her head urged her to save those about to die. The confusion overwhelmed her, and she began to harm herself. Deacon, who had once mistakenly killed a future version of Jennifer, didn't want to see her hurt again. He convinced Katerina to send Jennifer back to her own time. When they tried to send her, they discovered it was all part of Jennifer's plan to escape the bunker. After Jennifer traveled back, Katerina sat in front of her painting, contemplating how to end everything. Olivia told her that everything had started because of her, and only she could bring it all to an end. After being with Eliza, Atan still found himself waking up in a cold sweat from nightmares. In his dreams, he saw a red forest and a masked version of himself. He told Eliza that he didn't want to become the person he saw in those dreams. Eliza also saw a portrait of Cole, and it turned out that Atan had met him during one of his time travels. Back then, Cole was still robbing and pillaging to survive, using any means necessary. Atan had traded a can of food to get a chance to talk to Cole. Cole had said he looked familiar and asked him if he was a doctor on Battlestar Karad. Athan replied he seemed familiar too, asking if he was a spy. Athan had sought out Cole during a time of uncertainty, hoping to find some guidance from his father. But Cole, preoccupied with survival, was unable to offer any help at the time. Life with Eliza didn't stay peaceful for long. One day, when Eliza was out, the crime boss she had stolen from earlier tracked her down to seek revenge. By the time Athan found her, she had already been killed, her chicken throat slashed. After Eliza's funeral, a heartbroken and furious Athan went to the watchmaker, knowing that the man had already made the part he needed but had kept giving him defective ones, simply to scam him for money. Athan took the part and installed it into his time travel vest. He returned to the past, determined to save his beloved. Before Eliza could be killed, he took out all of the crime boss's henchmen. Ignoring Eliza's pleas, Athan killed the boss in front of her, slashing his throat. He also revealed his true identity to Eliza. Shocked by the truth, Eliza found it hard to believe, and she didn't agree with what he had done. She gave him a broken watch as a gift. The hands no longer moved forward or backward, stuck forever in the present. She told him not to manipulate time. Athan decided then to destroy the time travel vest. Just as he was about to destroy it, he discovered that Eliza had already died. She had contracted a staph infection and died from complications during treatment. Athan traveled back in time to save her, making 607 attempts, but no matter what he did, she always died on the same day. Rayleigh discovered this in Athan's diary. After Eliza's death, Athan had traveled to the past and met his past self. At that time, Rayleigh had just lost her first patient. Athan had comforted her, sharing his helplessness over not being able to save his love and seeking answers from her. Unfortunately, Riley, overwhelmed by grief, had told him that time itself was the greatest enemy, without giving him the guidance he needed. Finally, Athan realized that what he needed to do was go back to Titan and become the demon he had always feared. Create the army of the 12 monkeys, spread a plague, and destroy the world. Only then would they all become eternal in the Red Forest. Rayleigh regretted not being there for her son when he needed her the most, but now nothing could change that. The two of them traveled to the church where Eliza's funeral was being held, and it was here that they finally found Athan. After reuniting with their family, Athan told them it was too late. Rayleigh tried to persuade him to give up his plan, but Athan explained that he never wanted to become the witness. However, for Eliza's sake, he was going to return to Titan. He had rejected his destiny before, but now his heart was full of loneliness and anger. There was no stopping him. Just as he was about to pull the trigger, Cole and Rayleigh activated the synchronization feature of the time travel vest, bringing Athan along with them. Athan fled, and they chased after him, eventually synchronizing their time travel to London during the Blitz. As they were searching for him, he appeared behind them, setting Rayleigh's vest to self-destruct. To save her, Cole temporarily stopped the synchronization, but quickly caught up with Athan, destroyed his time travel vest, and subdued him. He then took Athan back to their old home, the cabin where they had once lived. Katerina and the others had been tracking Rayleigh's vest's time signal, but once the vest was destroyed, the signal vanished. As Katerina was trying to figure out what to do next, Olivia guessed they had returned to the cabin. She knew the address of the cabin, but not the exact time period they were in. To find out, Olivia drank the red flower tea, allowing her consciousness to enter the time stream and arrive in the Red Forest. In the cabin, Eliza saw Athan and Cole talking, learning that they were in 1959. However, when she saw the face of the witness, she seemed to be terrified. Athan quickly realized that things were about to take a turn for the worse. They were about to be hunted, and danger was closing in. Rayleigh, however, told him that nothing was predestined. She mentioned that there was a room on Titan filled with his belongings, and took out the watch Eliza had given him. Eliza had told him that time only existed in the present, and that the key was to live in the now. As Athan reminisced about his time with Eliza, a barrage of gunfire suddenly erupted and the walls of the cabin were pierced. The room was left in ruins as bullets flew. It turns out, after discovering their location in time, Katerina and his men traveled through time to confront them, demanding that Cole and the others hand over Athan. Naturally, Cole and the group refused. Just as the standoff was escalating, a strange sound filled the air. Titan, in an astonishing twist, materialized and appeared right behind the cabin. The people from Titan emerged, attempting to capture Athan, while Katarina and Hannah fought to block them, rushing toward the cabin. When they burst inside, Athan was just finishing putting on his time travel vest, preparing to leave. Katarina aimed his gun at Athan, while Rayleigh pointed her own weapon at Hannah, urging Katarina to consider things from a mother's perspective and spare the child. After a brief hesitation, Katarina said sorry to her daughter and shot Athan. Athan was hit, and his vest malfunctioned. As it was about to self-destruct, it sent him away, and no matter what, it seemed Athan wouldn't survive. Rayleigh didn't shoot Hannah, but since Athan hadn't vanished after being shot, it was clear they hadn't changed anything. At that moment, Katarina pulled out a device and sent Hannah back. The bald henchman and his crew surrounded the cabin, and after learning from Rayleigh that the witness had already died, he finally revealed his true intentions. All along, he had been trying to get Rayleigh to help him find the witness. After capturing the group, the bald henchman ordered the cabin to be set on fire. Once they were taken back to Titan, they were brought to the assembly hall of the cult, where they witnessed the Jasmine killer being killed. The attacker was none other than Olivia. It turned out that Olivia had been playing a long con. After Katarina and the others traveled, she had killed all the guards watching her. Although Deacon had found her, he was no match for her, and she easily took him down. She then dragged Deacon to the teleportation room, killed the remaining guards, and used the time machine to return to Titan. The bald henchman and she were actually working together all along. On the day of the witness's return, Olivia disguised herself as the witness and entered the cult's assembly. After revealing her true identity, she killed the Jasmine killer with a knife while he was still in shock. At that moment, Cole and the others were brought in and saw the murder unfold. The bald henchman turned to Olivia and confirmed the witness is dead like a piece of shit. Olivia, now addressing the cult members, brainwashed them, claiming that everything that had happened proved the witness was doomed to fail. She revealed that she had always wanted to kill him, and now that he was dead, he would never return. Just as she finished speaking, the lights in the hall flickered. The witness, wearing a mask, returned to Titan. But what was going on? To understand this, we need to go back to Jennifer. Previously, she had been sent from the future to 2017 in London to a dilapidated church. One day, there was a flash of light and a heavily wounded person appeared. This was the scene Jennifer had predicted, saving someone on the verge of death. The person who had been sent back was none other than Athan. After being shot, his time travel vest had not self-destructed as expected, but had instead transported him to 2017. The location was right in front of Eliza's statue. Upon arriving, he received medical treatment, and once his health was restored and the vest repaired, he finally donned the mask of the witness and returned to Titan, making quite the dramatic entrance. The surrounding cult members were stunned, as they had long been told that the hardship bearer would return. No one dared to make a move. Athan, however, pulled out 2 guns and started shooting. While it felt satisfying, he could have simply commanded the cult members as the witness to control Titan without all this chaos. Athan managed to rescue Cole and the others, but the masked people were in hot pursuit. To cover their escape, Athan decided to stay behind and hold off the pursuers. He handed his time travel vest to Cole, who was deeply concerned for his safety. Athan told him that it was his fate to stay there and handed over his watch to Rayleigh, telling her that nothing was truly fated. After bidding his parents farewell, Athan emptied his gun and came out to surrender, to cover for their escape. The bald henchman was about to lead a group to chase after Cole and the others when Rayleigh placed both of Athan's watches together, triggering a time paradox that caused an explosion, halting the pursuit. Athan was taken to Olivia, to a room where his belongings were kept. Olivia wanted to know why he was wearing the mask. Athan told her if she was destined to die, she might as well dress the part. These were the same words Eliza had once told him. Athan told Olivia that this was now her business. He'd spent a long time coming to this realization. He had once believed that he was destined to become the witness, the sad and lonely demon at the end of time. But in truth, that person was never him. It was Olivia. The witness Olivia had seen in the vision back in the cabin was her own reflection. Olivia insisted that she'd never done any of those things. Athan told her, not yet, but she will. She struggled to accept it. For so long, she'd prayed for Athan, believing he was the one meant to become the witness. Athan replied, that's where she was wrong. Eliza had taught him that life isn't measured by time. Even if Olivia had an army behind her, she was still alone, and because of that, she was doomed to fail. In a fit of rage, Olivia slashed Athan's throat. After Athan's death, Olivia decided to lead her followers into a new time loop. She embraced her identity as the witness, declaring that from this moment on, she was the true witness. Cole and the others, having escaped Titan, found themselves back at the cabin. Just then, Deacon and Hannah arrived, bringing the serum. They injected it into them and sent them back one by one. Cole and Rayleigh stood before the burning cabin, lost in thought. Once the cabin was reduced to ashes, they were transported back. Olivia would now pursue them, and the war with the witness was far from over. The scene shifts to 2015, where Cole's father is telling a young Cole a story in their RV. A piece of paper, bearing the image of an Ouroboros, falls from the book. It's a fable written by Cole's mother. And that's the end of Season 3. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.